Pursuing a career in art and design, Father Thomas Loya, who's our next speaker, entered St. Cyril Methodius Seminary in Pittsburgh and then spent 2 years studying in Rome. He was ordained a priest in 1982 for the Eparchy of Parma. As a priest, he has overseen a relocation and rebuilding of 2 parish complexes in Ohio and Illinois, and has always worked with outreach and mission in the Eparchy of Parma. Together with Mother Theodora, Father Loya formed the concept of the Byzantine Youth Rally and developed the Single Together ministry for the Eparchy of Parma. He is the host of the long-running radio program Light of the East and co-founder of the Tabor Life Institute for Education and Formation in the Theology of the Body and Byzantine Spirituality. Father Loya serves as a chaplain for the Courage Ministry. He's a regular guest on the More to Life program on EWTN Radio and does daily live meditations on Facebook. Father Loya is currently the pastor of Annunciation Byzantine Catholic Church in Homer Glen, Illinois, and administrator of the outreaches in Iowa and Nebraska. Please welcome Father Tom Loya.
Glory to Jesus Christ.
Glory to God.
Slava Jezus Christus.
Slava.
Idzie Cię Jezus Chrystus. Very good. As you know, I'm out in Illinois. I'm being one of 3 speakers. The next 2 after me will also be from out west. They're kind of like 3 cowboys. They rode into town to shoot up the place a little bit. Get to hear from us from the west. Western part of the Metropolitan. I'd like to begin with a quote. Quote, I cannot bring these words to conclusion without expressing my thanks to all of you. You have been so helpful, so essential in the support of all my plans and my dreams, that without you they could never have been brought to accomplishment. You have responded with your own many initiatives to my call for new patterns of action for the new day in the Byzantine Catholic Church in America. You have shown that your vision is bounded by no narrow horizon or parish or of our eparchy, but encompasses the world. We shall never again return to our naturalistic ghettos, nor to our feelings of inferiority. These words is a segment of the address given by Bishop Emil J. Mihalik on April 9th, 1970. At the first convocation, he is the first bishop of the Eparchy of Parma. When was the last time you ever heard it being addressed like that? I was a teenager at the time. I grew up in Cleveland area, and I witnessed the beginning. I was at Bishop Amel's consecration. I heard him speak this way. And I watched an eparchy explode. Churches and missions like mushrooms. I saw our own Byzantine high school, which achieved a great deal of notoriety before it suddenly closed some years later. But before that, growing up, my grandfather was pastor in the Cleveland area before there was an eparchy. And he, with 3 other priests at that time, helped to develop our church in the Cleveland area. What was happening in the church, development, building, newness, evangelization, moving forward, excitement, accomplishment, fruitfulness, is the only thing, that's the only experience I have of our church. When I was ordained, as you heard, I began a singles ministry, and I was at a singles event. We were actually at a swimming pool, and I was sitting in the swimming pool, and I was only 6 months a priest. And Father Corbett came in with a message from Bishop Amel. He said to me, "Tom, there's a group of Hungarians that just sold their church in Cleveland, and they went out and they bought property without the bishop's permission, and they want to build a new church there. The missionaries told them, they're so small, your parish is dead, go join another church," St. Joseph's at the time. But they refused. So, Bishop wants you to go and move them from the old neighborhood and build a new church in Solon, Ohio. Half of my side is Hungarian. The priest used to tell me, they used to take me aside when I was a seminary, and they'd say, "Now, Tom, don't let the bishop know you're Hungarian, because those are the toughest parishes. He'll sign you to that one." 6 months later, there I was, asking tough Hungarians who did what they wanted to do. In fact, they went to the bishop and they demanded me as their pastor, because they said, "He's the young guy, the new guy, we can mold him, Bishop." At that time, Bishop Mahalik, he was a heavy cigarette smoker. At that time, he lit up 3 cigarettes. He told me these Hungarians are driving me nuts. So, go out and build a church, Tom. Move them from the ghetto to Solon. I had a blast with those people. They weren't tough. They were wonderful. Then, 10 years after that, Bishop Pataki sent me out to Illinois, where, though he didn't ask me, the need was such that the entire area there, Joliet area, Chicago area, needed a change in a vision. The churches were in declining neighborhoods, people moved away, the churches were dying, it was not sustainable. So I reported back to Bishop Pataki what I saw, what I felt was needed. And to his credit, and I never forgot this, he trusted me. He trusted what I saw and what I what I knew needed to happen. And when I was out there, I learned that in the 1960s, I was out there in 93, in the 90s. In the 1960s, a young priest, young, energetic, the heartthrob of all the women, his name is Father Bob Carl, blessed memory. He told the people there, and the other priest and the bishop, in 1960s, we have to move this church and reach out to where our young families are going throughout the Chicago area. I had heard this, I saw it, I knew it had to be done. But it wasn't until the year 2000 that what was recommended 40 years earlier happened. Built another church. And relocated again, not one, but 2 parishes with 2 missions, relocated them both to the new growing area became known as Homer Glen. What happened those 40 years? How many people did we lose? I have only known winning about this church. My childhood, my family heritage. That's all I know. And going through what I have, moving these parishes, building new complexes, starting a new life for them, I have developed what might be considered a bad attitude, one that's prohibited by us. And Dr. Margaret, she touched on it. This is my attitude. And I believe this with all my heart, and I hope to prove it to you in this talk. There is a hole in the soul of Western civilization, a gaping hole. And this church, this one, this specific Ruthenian Byzantine Catholic Church is the round peg that can fit in the hole of the soul of this culture. At this time in history, given the situations in the church and in the world, in our nation, I tell you from my experience, my life experience in 41 years of renewing communities, of seeing what this church can do, it is this church alone who has that round peg. Now I know what I'm saying is outrageous. And that's because of the original sin of our church. Most Eastern Catholic churches, but certainly ours. And that sin, which lies behind all our problems, all of them, is a bad self-image. We're little. In our culture, bigger is better. Really. How big is a kidney stone? How big is the little stone in your shoe? How big is a computer chip that runs a power plant or your cars? How big was the COVID virus to go through a mask? It almost would seem that bigger might be better. Or smaller. Smaller might be better, actually. When you really look at life. Every time we do something, first thing we do is get somebody from the outside to speak to us, at us. They could be the greatest speaker in the world, the most brilliant person, and make a brilliant presentation. But you know what? It's never organic. It never gets inside of our soul, of our church. A lot of these speakers, I've seen them over the years. Until they were asked to speak to us, they didn't even know we existed. They didn't know what we were. But it's the first thing we'll do. No matter what we plan. Someone else always has a better idea. And then we want to try to do something. I'll tell you, I stand in awe of how we can raise non-performance to the level of genius. Oh, can't do that. Don't have enough priests. Oh, don't have enough money. Oh, liability. Safe environment. Can't do that. Oh, then the one that was really made to order. The best excuse of all. COVID. Don't do anything because of COVID. Live according to the one thing that God spoke most against in the entire Bible, from front to cover, there was one thing he spoke most against. It's what we live by. Fear. We crucify our prophets. We marginalize our visionaries. Because we don't believe we can really be anything. We don't believe that we have the answer. I am telling you this because the message I want to convey to you is one that comes from my lived experience. It's what I've lived and known. And my experience is a microcosm of what could be the experience of our entire church for all of you. I've had experiences that are unique to me as far as I can see, but I take no credit. What they are simply doors that the Lord opened for me and people I've worked with, like opportunity. So he does. He puts an opportunity in front of us and he says, well, like in Deuteronomy, life or death, which one do you choose? And every time I walk through the door, which I never knew was going to be there, every time I did, another door opened. And I walked through that, and another door opened. And it kept opening. And every time I stepped through it, fruitfulness happened from the riches of this church. This church. Two of the speakers touched on those things yesterday. Dr. Kearns talked about theological cosmology. You kidding? We own it. The sacramental worldview. Phil Yubbigs talked about living in the both and. You kidding? It's one of the most dire needs of our culture. We own it. Look at the icon screen. It's not just an icon screen. It's a blueprint for life. It reveals and conceals. Both and we live in the confluence of these complementary things. The gates open, and sometimes they're closed. Both and is balance, it's health. And you know why that's so critical? We alone have it. Because we live in a bipolar culture. We swing between poles. Democrat, Republican, liberal, conservative. She, he. And the most frightful dualism of all in this country, when I have to live with, are you a White Sox fan or a Cubs fan? But see, we, in everything we do, it was quoted yesterday in the talk, the unwedded bride. We do everything in paradox, everything in complementarity, and we live in the confluence of that. That is what health is, and balance. And it's the genius of our church. We don't even know it. What I'm proposing is that there are three levels on which a church can exist. Vision, which involves creativity, evangelization, daring, faith, trust, courage. just maintaining or just surviving. If you don't stay in the level of vision, at all times, you'll drop down to just maintaining, just cruising along, paying the bills, we're okay. And from there, you drop to just surviving. Most of our church in America is in the last two. Because the first one is frightful. And you have to believe in yourself. You have to roll up your sleeve. Take the hits and the effort. Now, in order to stay on visioning, there's three other things. See, very Byzantine, always in threes. Mission, vision, and strategic planning. Emphasis on the word strategic. What is mission? Mission is having an awareness of what we're really about as church, of putting that first. And that is, this is what I live by. And how we will be the most fruitful. I tried it. Everything I say to people, believe me, I only say it. The only reason I came here is because I live what I'm telling you. Seek first the kingdom of God, and all things will be given to us besides. The mission is about establishing the kingdom of God on earth. That's our mission. In order to do that, we ask a question. This is how you evangelize, how you missionize. You always ask the question, what is the need? Not, how do I get more people to my church that's dying and falling apart, as Father Jack said yesterday. He touched on the elephant in the room. He did. What about these parishes that are pretty much not viable, dysfunctional? You know, we had a lot of suggestions yesterday and today from the priest about what works, what doesn't, and so on. They were all good and sincere. But you know what? They were all basically topical. The only one who came close was Father Custer. That was towards the end. And I felt the room. I felt the when he asked that question. What is the need? Where do we go as church to fulfill the need of these people? Just like Father Zucker said. Okay, we went and followed some of the migration, yes. But is it not possible for us to also see the need in an inner city and meet that need by purposeful, strategic action? Not just by default. I left the church there. I've also moved away, left the church down there. Don't move my church. Oh yeah, but you moved. No, purposeful. There's a need here, and we will fulfill it. You know where they've done that? In a sterling way. Our church in Europe. Father Zucker made a magnificent presentation to us about that. The gypsies, can you imagine the gypsies have been evangelized by our church, this one, the Ruthenian church over there. And they have reached out to people who are handicapped, mentally ill and so on, to the point where the government, can you imagine, the government went to our Greek Catholic church and said to them, only you are able to reach these people. Have at it, please. They took the riches of our church and with purposeful planning, and a sense of mission, they did what not even the government could do. So the government trusted these people to our church, not that one, not this one, our church, alone. Alone. Father Ed, when he introduced yesterday, his first introduction was welcome, he mentioned, well, we have so many people from out west. And he started naming places that you wouldn't think of Greek Catholics being, Oklahoma and so on. Yes. Here's what's happening.
United States. Here's what's happening. And I call it the crescent. Demographics are moving this way. Economics, jobs, people, everything are moving this way. See that? It's like a crescent. They're dropping south from the areas like here, or the grand old Greek Catholic bastions, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, all the industrial area. It's dropping south and swinging west. Not necessarily deep south or all the way west. Sort of the center, right? South and west. That's where the future is. And that cuts across all our eparchies. Most of our territory, our metropolia, lies fallow. Many of you pastors probably have the heartbreak of maybe if a church is doing well, a parish, and people move away because of jobs or something. And what do they usually say? You know, Father, a transfer to so-and-so state, whatever, there's no Byzantine church anywhere. Time and time again, I heard that. That's why I'm thrilled to see that the next assembly of this will be in Eparchy of Parma. And I'm going to push, don't tell my new bishop, but yeah. I'm going to push for it to be in Chicago. Not just because that's where I am, because most planes go there. It'd be pretty convenient. But anyway, I wanted to have it so that you, and hopefully you'll come out and see the kind of life, you're going to hear from it after me, the next speaker, the kind of life that is there, the kind of fertile fields to be mined in these regions. I have a mission in Iowa, go 3 hours on Annunciation to Iowa. Once a month on Sunday, it's all I can manage. For a mission in Iowa. I don't have time to tell you about the details of them, but you know what? These places, and this crescent, even the Latin rite is that way, but certainly for us, there is a vibrancy. There is an automatic future. You know, 5, 6 families with 300 kids among them. And they're doing matins and vespers and the prayers before liturgy and the prayers after liturgy. They got agape and they're doing everything. They are so in, so all in. And they're all over this crescent, waiting to be seen for what they are and to be invested in. And you have to be able to, as Father Paul said today, you have to be able to take the hits of any kind of creative, evangelical, visionary move. And there'll be great hits, terrible ones. And you have to be willing to roll up your sleeves and do what has to be done. And you know something? I can testify, as Paul did too, and I have even worse stories than him, believe it or not. Some people in my parish wanted to kill me. They put a death threat under my van and reported to the police. When we were going through the transition of mission and a new life. Because I wanted to give them a new life. And they did all kinds of other things. Some. But you know what? Because I took those hits, I have the privilege, a dream come true of a priest, to see those very same people transformed before my very eyes and become the greatest supporters of our parish and of me. The very same people that literally wanted to kill me. And they tried to kill my spirit. Some. But now, I think they'd die for me. The same person. Why did I take those hints? Because I knew what could be. And I knew they couldn't see. See, my background art is in art. And we artists, we know that people can't see. They can't envision like us. And I had to endure that because I was hopeful they would see in time. And they did. What a privilege to see true conversion. A metamorphosis like that. And then the second part. You need a vision to accomplish the mission. Now, envisioning is, I'm going to use the word visioning, and I'm expanding on the word, again, Father Jack Custer mentioned in his comment, he called it branding, so that we all, the Byzantine Catholic within Church America basically is the same, not cookie cutter, but meaning you get a consistent ethic. He called that branding. I'm calling it vision. We ask ourselves, what do you want your church to look like? Whether it's a parish, an eparchy, or Metropolitan. What should it look like? Should it be serving the poor? Should we have a hospital? Should we have whatever? And in the visioning process, and I say this to you as an artist, a designer, during the creative process, which we must undergo, everything is fair game, no matter what idea. I jokingly asked Father Robert, who will be our bishop soon, we had a clergy convention, I said, Father Robert, you're very open to things. Then if I suggested to you that we start a mission on the moon, would that be okay for you? I was pushing the point, but the point was, every idea is okay at first. Just let the mind go. But you look at the need. How do you want this church to look? This is what we did, and this is what we came up with. We asked ourselves, how do we see ourselves? You know what they said? They said, Father, we're moving this church, putting it together. We'll be the only representative Ruthenian Byzantine Catholic church in the entire metropolitan area of Chicago, the third largest city in America. We'll be it. So they said, you know what, Father? Because I asked them, how do you see this church? Well, Father, we see it as a center now for formation and learning in the spirituality of the Byzantine Catholic Church. And we're going to finance this thing by biblical stewardship. We have a chance for a new start to shed the old ideas. It's not just bingo and pierogi. It will now be money that comes from ministry, from evangelization. And they embrace that. And when we keep our doors open every day, and they have it since the day we opened, 23 years ago, they've never closed those doors. I'm here right now. My church doors are wide open right now. And we've done it for 23 years without incident. And you know why? Because we know that that is a ministry in itself today. We didn't even close down during COVID. I obeyed what the bishop asked. And to his credit, and I thank Bishop Milan Locke up and down, he was never extreme in his COVID precautions. He was reasoned, and I did them, but I kept it open. And during COVID, because I did that, we did that. It's out of a sense of our vision, our spirituality, our sense of mission. We had record attendance, record collections, and we paid off our church, and we have money in the bank. When you're visioning, you do this. I use two colors. Okay? Can you see that? Nobody can see that, but it's I know looking at the audience here, you're all too young to remember Monopoly game. Monopoly game, you know, it's a game with money and stuff, real estate. You had a board. This is a Monopoly board. You put little houses on the board, okay? So we had, you know, you put these little houses. You just put them all over the board.
you know, according to how you're buying them and so on like that. You know the game. So you put these on.
See, Dr. Makashi, Erdi is not the only Ruthenian who does art. Okay, so what you do conceptually is, and this is the approach we took, what I recommend our whole church does. Our Byzantine church, what I want for it, my heart's desire, raise it to the ground. Raise it to the ground, conceptually. In other words, there's a monopoly board, right? Got the houses on it. Ignore the houses. In fact, pretend they're not there. Churches, wherever we have, just pretend it's not there. And you look at our Metropolitan. Then you start from the sense of mission and vision. What would this Metropolitan look like that would serve the mission? Does it need this? Okay, like putting a little house up, we'll do that then. Maybe some things will stay as they are, maybe. But nothing is indispensable. Not in the conceptual process. I know this scares you. It's a way of approaching things creatively. And you think to yourself, we ask the question, what will serve this? And you do it. You decide, you put the little monopoly house there. And then you invest in it. You go with it full force. That's your vision, based on your sense of mission. It's a positive, sort of conquering attitude. And I'm just going to give you an example. I can give it several, I'll give you a couple. What this is really, if I can package this, this is called unleashing the inner dynamism of our liturgy. See, a lot of people will say, I know you've heard this before, you know, you Eastern guys, Eastern Catholics, once you get past liturgy, what else have you got? You know what? They're right and they're wrong. We don't have to have anything, because everything is in there. We just have to unpack it and make it alive and let that guide our vision. Here's what we did. We got this plot of land. And in the area where it's in is a beautiful area. It's open spaces, it's real nature-y, and you got ponds and creeks and rivers and stuff. So we had this natural waterway going through the property. And it would sometimes flood. So we went to go establish our church, build our church. The people there fought us like crazy. Oh, it was a big war. Because they thought we were going to make this property, this area, worse. It was going to cost plenty of building a church. But they didn't know who we were. They thought we were a cult and stuff like that. See, I took it from the neighborhood and from inside persons too. So I said, no, you don't understand something. We're, I know we got that third eye here, but we're called Byzantine Catholics, you know. We have this theological cosmology, we have this sacramental worldview, this mystical stuff. And see, what we do is, we come somewhere, we make it better. I see you have a problem here in this area of water. We're going to fix it for you. What are you talking about? Now, my street that we're on is called Will Cook Road. It's Will-Cook. That means it's 2 counties. We're on the Will side. Across the street is the Cook side. You know, it's in Chicago, corruption, all that stuff. Huge counties with huge corrupt tax dollars. Tons and tons of money. They couldn't see fit to fix the road in front of our property and the flood. 2 counties in the 3rd largest city in America. Who fixed it? Little old Ruthenian church doesn't amount to much because everybody's so much bigger than we are and better. We did it. And you know what? The very people that fought dirty to keep us out, and knocked on my door one day. Father Tom, they had this this thing in their hand. It was an award. They said, I know we're the people that fought you, but you know what? You told us what you were about, what you were going to do, and you did it. And we're presenting you with this award. We don't know how we could have existed without you. And we got multiple awards, including the Chicago Wilderness Award, because what we did was, and here's the liturgy part, ready? We looked at our liturgy, our icons. Yeah, someone said yesterday, Father Paul, he was told, start from the antimension. Start from the antimension, the sanctuary, the altar, the liturgy. What does the liturgy say? What vision does it give us? What blueprint does it give us? It gives us the sacramental worldview. It tells us how God made things. So what we did was, we looked at the icons, we read what they say, what our liturgy says, we went outside and said, you know what? We're going to make this land here the way God made it. What did God put here? God did not put pine trees or turf grass, even though we love turf grass. He put prairie grasses. He put tall prairie grasses, flowers, all the stuff that creates an ecosystem. And that's what we did. And it became so successful and so renowned. I was offered jobs by environmental companies to work for them. I said, I'm just a Ruthenian priest. I don't know anything about the environment. But you know what? All I had to do was take our liturgy outside, stretch it from those four walls that we get in and out of on Sundays. But I got obligation, gotta go to the game, outside of the mind. No, we took that and we stretched it outside. And you know what happened? It solved the water problem. And the community changed. We literally, our liturgy, from the Antimensian into the bedrooms of children in the neighborhood who are victims of videophilia, being molested by video screens, suffering from nature deficit disorder. And our liturgy went out into their bedrooms, grabbed them, and we pulled them out from being molested by video screens. And now they play in our yard. They catch fish in our pond. They chase butterflies and see frogs. People walk their dogs, strollers with their children. They have picnics there. We're a destination place. We've been on TV and internet and radio. I can't even tell you how often, how much. The entire community, we changed them all the way into their bedrooms. From what? Our liturgy. Oh, it doesn't stop there. We thought, this prairie thing is really changing hearts. Well, you know what else is needed here? Remember I said, what is the need? We need to bring this community together around us. They need a block party. So what happened was we established a tradition of the Prairie Fest. 3 solid days of non-stop music by the biggest, rockinest bands in the community in the Chicago area. Food, tours of the prairie, children's games, everything for 3 days solid. It's the largest, with the tiniest little Ruthenian church in the area. Roman Catholic church are so much bigger than us, right? Everybody's the Protestant church. Those mega churches, everybody's bigger than we are. But our little church has the biggest neighborhood event in the entire region. Oh, it didn't stop there. We decided to do something really crazy. Only unique little us would have an outdoor event in the Midwest in December. It's called Christmas on the Prairie. We set up a tent. We actually eat it. We bring in prairie people, like, you know, they do wool, they do candle, like prairie days, like pioneer days. And the kids, our teenagers, are dressed up in costumes. And in the prairie, we have people go around our prairie path, and they have little campfires, and they do little skits of the real life of St. Nicholas. And at the end of the day, We have strolling carolers, you get from the high school, the Catholic school. And then at the end of the day, St. Nicholas comes down the street, up our driveway, with those Budweiser Clydesdale horses, with a carriage. And he gives all the kids rides in the carriage. And greets the kids and gives them little gifts and stuff like that. But you know where that came from? Our liturgy. It came from our celebration of St. Nicholas feast day. Vespers and liturgy in the 5th. You know, we tell the parents how to put their kids' shoes out. And we had this idea, and what I would do is I would always have St. Nicholas appear to the kids in some surprising way. I always had a different way. He would appear like magic, you know, makes it real, you know, fun for them. And one day I said, you know what? Let's have him come up in a horse and buggy. And I will forget the first time he did that. It was just idyllic. Snow was some soft, beautiful snow falling down. St. Nicholas comes up, his full bishop regalia, that big, beautiful white horse, clop, clop, clop. The kids are enthralled. And I said to my parishioners, you know what? This is too good just for us. Let's make it a neighborhood event. Hundreds upon hundreds of people come to that event now with families. And it's the most enchanting event of the year in that entire area for families. Where did it come from? Our liturgy. Not their liturgy, not their our Ruthenian, Byzantine Catholic liturgy and its liturgical tradition. Then, one more story. I have many. One more. I'm walking through the church one day, and a man sitting there praying, because we keep it open all the time. And he stops me and says, Father Tom, you need to get your liturgy on the radio. People need to see this Byzantine, hear this liturgy. I was like, yeah, okay, right, now. Kept walking. He saw me the next day. He said the same thing. He said, I got a radio guy. He's going to go talk to a radio station. I said, okay. So the radio guy comes back to me and says, Father Tom, I talked to a radio station, and I have good news and bad news. The bad news is, which didn't surprise me, your liturgy is too long for the airtime. But the good news is, I got a half-hour opening, the radio station manager said, I got a half-hour opening on Sunday if you want your own show. I was floored. What? I would have thought of that. Is it by God opening the doors? I can take credit for nothing. I wish I could. I can't. I just almost blew the guy off. Well, you know what? On November 19th, we'll be sending out, not a podcast, but our 1,000th broadcast of that radio station, that radio show, Light of the East. The longest running, quickest reaching radio show in the history of the New Catholic Church. 1,000, that's for real, no, all due respect to podcasts. We need them. We need to do the podcast, quick, as much media as possible. We got to really hit the media. But mine's the old-fashioned, like Dr. Mudrichi, the old-fashioned terrestrial radio station. It's on EWTN. It's on the 800-pound gorilla, EWTN radio. If I pick it up out here and all that. You can't get it on podcasts or website and so on. 1,000 shows. And there's a man sitting here right now. In fact, I'd like him to stand up. David Simon. This man came up to him today. He said, Father Tom, hello. I'm a Byzantine Catholic today because of your radio show. When I say release the inner dynamism of our liturgy, I mean even it's remotely and proximately. Proximately is how we do liturgy. That's a whole other subject. Maybe we'll talk about that when you all come out to Chicago. About how in the way we do our liturgy can evangelize. It evangelizes, but it can be much, much more dynamic, much more powerful. Another subject. But also, that's the proximate. The remote is what I just mentioned, these ideas, where we took our liturgy and went out and conquered. We knew we had an idea. We saw the need. We knew that we alone had it, and we did it. We went for it. And it's changed the neighborhood. And as Bishop Amos said, You have shown that your vision is bounded by no narrow horizon or parish or of our eparchy, but encompasses the world. And that's my goal. World domination.